Hayalperestlerin, risk alanların, denemekten korkmayanların cesaretinden doğduk. Bizi asla yarı yolda bırakmayan o sesin rehberliğiyle ilerlemeye ve öğrenmeye devam ediyoruz. Bunun için varız. Bu yüzden gece geç saatlere kadar lambalarımız sönmez. Elveda demek hem hüzün hem de gurur verir. Her şeyi sorgulayarak ve merakımızı besleyerek, dayanıklılığımızı test ederek, sınırlarımızı aşarak, ilerleyerek ve yeni ufuklar açarak yeni bir yol buluruz. Yeni icatlar çıkararak, kendi yolumuzu çizerek. Burası fikirlerin doğduğu ve yeni fikirleri doğurduğu, bizim de doğduğumuz, birlikte büyüdüğümüz ve yükseldiğimiz yer. Burası Yakın Doğu Üniversitesi.
Good morning. Hello, everybody. I would like to say welcome you all to our workshop, hybrid workshop series on Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, with emphasis on three pillars. 6, public-private partnerships. This workshop organized together with me, with my colleagues, Professor Dr. Zihni, Şerife Zihni Eyüpoğlu, Professor Dr.Aşkın Kiraz, and Farhad Bolouri. This is my topic, Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, with emphasis on three pillars, 6, public-private partnerships. This is my outline. I am planning to start with an equation. What is sustainable development? The most widely used definition, sustainable development, is development that means the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals, there are 17 SDGs, including 169 targets and 232 indicators. Until now, we organized 5 similar workshops together with our team. And the first one was hybrid workshop on Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, with emphasis on 3 pillars. Later on, we organized another one. It was dealing with practice on the university campus and practice on smart city, youth participation, and finally, adaptation and mitigation. All these presentation, you can find the links from YouTube channel. And let's come sustainability. Sustainability, we introduce the 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, economic, and social justice, all of which are needed equally to be truly sustainable. The environmental pillar focuses on renewable energy, waste management, sustainable agriculture, and reducing deforestation. Economic pillar focuses on long-term growth that is using resources in a healthy balance with the ecosystem and via sustainable methods. The social pillar focuses on equity and who has access to the resources so that one group of the people is not unfairly burdened at the benefit of another. 3 pillars in this workshop about public-private partnerships. Economic pillar part will be explained by Professor Dr. Şerife Zihni Eyüpoğlu. Social pillars, Professor Dr. Aşkın Kiraz, and environmental pillar by me, Professor Dr. Hüseyin Gökçekuş. Let's come to our main topic, public-private partnerships. Public-private partnerships are collaborative agreements between government entities and private sector companies to finance, build, and operate projects traditionally managed by the public sector. These partnerships aim to leverage private firms' efficiency, innovation, and capital while maintaining public oversight and ensuring that essential services or infrastructure, such as roads, schools, hospitals, or utilities, remain accessible and of high quality. Public-private partnerships are often used when government face budget constraints or seek to accelerate project timelines by sharing risks and responsibilities with private partners. Environmental pillar in focus on SDG 6, clean water and sanitation, SDG 7, affordable and clean energy, SDG 12, responsible consumption and production, SDG 13, climate action, SDG 14, life below water, and finally, SDG 15, life on land. Environmental pillar, public-private partnerships. This section examines how public-private partnerships are linked in SDG 6, 7, 12, 13, 14, and SDG 15. Let's start with SDG 6. Public-private partnerships in achieving SDG 6. Goal: ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Key targets: universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water, access to adequate and equitable sanitation and hygiene, improving water quality by reducing pollution, increasing water use efficiency, integrated water resource management, protecting and restoring water-related ecosystems. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 6. Infrastructure investment. Public-private partnerships can finance and construct water treatment plants, sewage systems, and distribution networks. Technology and innovation. Private firms often bring at once water purification, monitoring, and management technologies. Efficiency and expertise. The private sector can introduce cost-effective operations and maintenance practices. Risk sharing. Public-private partnerships allow for shared financial and operational risks between public and private actors. Let's look at the challenges. Challenges: ensuring affordability and equity. Public-private partnership must avoid excluding low-income populations, maintaining transparency and accountability in contracts and service delivery, balancing profit motives with public service obligations. Example use case: Manila Water from Philippines, a notable public-private partnerships where private operators helped improve water service coverage, quality, and efficiency through issues of affordability and equity remain subjects of debate. Public-private partnerships in achieving SDG 7. SDG 7, you remember, affordable and clean energy. Goal: ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Key targets: universal access to affordable, reliable, and modern energy services. Increase the share of renewable energy in the global energy mix. Double the global rate of improvement in energy efficiency. Enhance international cooperation and infrastructure investment to facilitate clean energy research, technology, and access. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 7. Infrastructure investment, mobilize private capital for renewable energy projects, solar, wind, hydro. Technology transfer, enable access to advanced energy technologies and smart systems. Energy access, expand off-grid and mini-grid solutions to rural and undeserved areas. Efficiency gain, implement energy-saving systems through performance-based contracts. Risk sharing, distribute financial and operational risks between public and private sectors. Let's look at challenges. Challenges, regulatory and policy uncertainty can discourage private investment. Ensuring equitable access to energy remains critical. Public-private partnership must avoid favoring only profitable markets. Need for transparent contract design and accountability mechanism to align long-term public interests with private incentives. Example use case, scaling solar World Bank Group, a public-private partnerships framework that helps governments rapidly deploy grid-connected solar projects with private sector participation. India's Ujala program, public-private collaboration to distribute energy-efficient LED bulbs across millions of households. The other one, public-private partnerships in achieving SDG 12, responsible consumption and production. Goal, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. Key targets, sustainable management and efficient use of natural resources, owing global food waste and reducing waste generation. Promoting sustainable business practices and public procurement, improving information and awareness for sustainable lifestyles. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 12. Sustainable production and innovation. Private companies bring innovation in eco-design, resources, efficiency, and green technologies. Public partners can incentivize sustainable practices through policies and subsidies. Waste reduction and circular economy. Public-private partnerships are instrumental in developing waste management infrastructure. Joint efforts can promote circular business models and extended procedure responsibility systems. Consumer awareness and behavior change. Governments and business collaborate on labeling, certification, and education campaigns to promote responsible consumption. Sustainable procurement and standards. Public-private partnership helps set and enforce sustainability standards, especially in public procurement and large supply chains. Challenges: balancing economic and environmental priorities across sectors, ensuring transparency and accountability in corporate sustainability claims, aligning short-term businesses' interests with long-term environmental goals. Example use case, Ellen MacArthur Foundation. Circular Economy 100, a global public-private partnership platform uniting businesses, governments, and academia to accelerate circular economy practices. The other one, public-private partnerships in achieving SDG 13. SDG 13, climate action. Goal, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impacts. Key targets, strengthen resilience and adaptive capacity to climate-related hazard. Integrate climate change measures into national policies, strategies, and planning. Improve educational awareness and human and institutional capacity on climate change mitigation and adaptation. Mobilize climate finance and capacity building. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 13. Climate resilience infrastructure. Public-private partnerships can support the development of green infrastructure, such as flood defenses, resilient transport, and low-carbon buildings. Mitigation technologies and innovation. Private sector partners offer clean energy, carbon capture, green hydrogen, and emissions-reducing technologies. Public institutions create enabling frameworks and de-risk investment. Climate finance and investment. Public-private partnerships attract private capital into climate projects through blended finance models, green bonds, and climate funds. Public actors can provide guarantees and incentives. Capacity building and awareness. Joint programs on climate education, early warning system, and disaster preparedness enhance community resilience. Challenges, mobilizing sufficient private investment for long-term climate adaptation, ensuring accountability and environmental integrity of climate actions, addressing equity and justice in climate-related partnerships. Example use case, Global Innovation Lab for Climate Finance. Public-private partnerships that accelerates innovative financial instruments for climate mitigation and adaptation in developing countries. Public-private partnership in achieving SDG 14. SDG 14, life below water. Goal, conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Key targets, reduce marine pollution, especially from land-based activities, protect and restore marine and coastal ecosystems, minimize ocean acidification, regulate harvesting to prevent overfishing, increase scientific knowledge and research capacity, provide access for small-scale fishers to marine resources and markets. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 14. Marine conservation and restoration. Public-private partnerships fund marine protected areas, habitat restoration, and pollution control projects. Sustainable fisheries management. Private sector partners help implement traceability systems, sustainable fishing technologies, and responsible supply chains. Innovation and research, public-private partnership support marine science, data collection, and monitoring technologies to improve ocean health management. Waste reduction and circular economy. Collaborate on reducing plastic and other waste entering oceans through improved waste management and recycling initiatives. Challenges: balancing economic activities like fishing and tourism with conservation goals, ensuring equitable participation of small-scale fishers and coastal communities, maintain transparency and avoiding exploitation of marine resources. Example use case: Global Coast Gear Initiative, a public-private partnership focused on removing abundant fishing gear to reduce marine pollution and protect biodiversity. And this is the last one, public-private partnerships in achieving SDG 15. SDG 15, life on land. Goal: protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. Sustainably manage forests, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Key targets: ensuring conservation and sustainable use of terrestrial and freshwater ecosystems, promote sustainable forest management, combat desertification and restore degraded land, conserve biodiversity and prevent extinction of threatened species, integrated ecosystem and biodiversity values into planning and development. Role of public-private partnerships in SDG 15. Forest management and restoration. Public-private partnerships funds afforestation, reforestation, and sustainable timber initiatives. Companies invest in carbon offsetting through forest conservation. Biodiversity protection. Collaborate on protecting endangered species and restoring habitats. Support ecotourism and sustainable land use projects that benefit local communities. Land degradation and desertification. Joint projects rehabilitate degraded land using sustainable agriculture, water conservation, and land use planning. Monitoring and innovation. Use satellite data, artificial intelligence, and digital mapping to track land use, biodiversity, and ecosystem health. Challenges: aligning long-term conservation goals with short-term commercial interests, ensuring benefits reach indigenous peoples and local communities, preventing greenwashing, and securing environmental integrity. Example use case: Trillion Trees Initiatives, a global public-private partnerships aiming to restore, conserve, and grow 1 trillion trees by uniting NGOs, governments, and private companies. Thank you very much for your attention and participation. For more information, you can reach my email. In the next session, Professor Dr. Şerife Zihni Eyüpoğlu will present public-private partnerships in economic pillar. Thank you again.
Hello everyone, my name is Professor Dr. Şerife Eyüpoğlu, and before I start my presentation, I would like to thank my colleague, Professor Dr. Hüseyin Gökçekuş, for his presentation. As you can see from my title, I will be presenting on the topic of public and private partnerships and how they can be used in order to attain the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, related to the economic pillar. As we face complex global challenges such as inequalities, infrastructure gaps, and economic instability, collaboration between the public and the private sector is proving to be essential. Through my presentation, I will try to indicate how these partnerships can act as powerful drivers for sustainable and inclusive economic growth. My presentation is designed or structured in 5 main parts. First of all, I will define the economic pillar of sustainability so that we can understand what it means and why it matters. Then I will go through the specific SDGs that are associated with the economic pillar. Then I will continue and explain how public and private partnerships support the SDGs in practice. The fourth part, I will provide 2 main examples of public and private partnerships to illustrate their contribution to the attainment of SDG associated with the economic pillar. And then finally, I will end with my conclusion and the key takeaways from my presentation. What is the economic pillar of sustainability? When we talk about sustainability, we often refer to 3 pillars, like my colleague mentioned: economic, social, and environmental. Each of them is essential, but in my presentation, I'm going to focus on the economic pillar. Economic sustainability is more than just boosting GDP. It is about ensuring that economic growth is inclusive, resilient, and future-oriented. When we say inclusive, this means that every group in society should benefit from economic growth, including the most vulnerable. When we say resilient, this means that economic growth should be capable of withstanding shocks, whether these are pandemics, climate events, or market volatility. When we say future-oriented, this means that economic growth should be built on innovation, skills, and infrastructure that can endure and adapt. So a truly sustainable economy promotes shared prosperity while safeguarding resources and opportunities for future generations. SDGs within the economic pillar. Several of the 17 SDGs directly support economic sustainability. The 5 that are particularly relevant are as follows. SDG 1, no poverty. Poverty reduction is the cornerstone of economic development. Without tackling poverty, no economy can be considered inclusive or sustainable. SDG number 2, zero hunger. Hunger undermines human capital and economic productivity. So it is crucial to ensure long-term food and economic security. SDG 3, good health and well-being. A healthy population is more productive, innovative, and capable of contributing to the economy. SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, central to the economic pillar. This goal focuses on sustainable employment, fair wages, and productive work for all. And finally, SDG 8, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Economic growth is dependent on strong infrastructure, technological progress, and industrial resilience. So to summarize, the economic pillar demands that we integrate economic development with human well-being, institutional strength, and technological innovation. Rather than growth for its own sake, growth should be just, inclusive, and sustainable. This means ensuring that investments, innovation, and public policies align with broader social and environmental responsibilities. Why public-private partnerships? Public-private partnerships are vital in the context of achieving the SDGs because they enable for shared responsibility and resource pooling between public and private actors. Governments often face financial, technical, and administrative limitations. In contrast, private companies possess capital, cutting-edge technology, and operational efficiency, but they lack the public mandate and insight into social needs. So through public-private partnerships, both sectors benefit from their unique strengths. The public sector provides the mandate, governance, regulatory framework, and community understanding. The private sector contributes investment, innovation, and technical expertise. Therefore, this collaboration leads to solutions that are more effective, scalable, and timely, be it in infrastructure, education, healthcare, or digital transformation. Public-private partnerships align economic incentives with public goals, making them a powerful tool for achieving the economic SDGs. How do public and private partnerships help achieve SDG 1, no poverty? By building affordable housing, governments offer land while private developers construct and manage homes. By expanding microfinance services, banks and non-government organizations can reach underserved populations. By supporting social enterprises, businesses that prioritize community impact. Through rural electrification projects, which open up new economic opportunities, and via mobile banking platforms, bringing the unbanked into the financial system. These partnerships help create a more inclusive economy by addressing the root cause of poverty. How public and private partnerships help in the achievement of SDG 2, zero hunger. Food security is another area where public-private partnerships make a huge difference. Governments can allocate land while private firms establish agricultural hubs with tech-driven solutions. Enhanced supply chains reduce food waste and bring produce to markets more efficiently. Crop insurance protects farmers against climate risks. School feeding programs, co-managed by public health departments and food providers, combat malnutrition. and sustainable farming practices become mainstream when supported by agribusiness investments. These collaborations strengthen food systems while supporting rural economies. How can public-private partnerships help in the achievement of SDG 3, good health and well-being? In health, public and private partnerships address everything from infrastructure to innovation. They fund and operate hospitals, clinics, and even mobile health units. In pandemics, they co-produce and distribute vaccines rapidly. Telemedicine platforms reach patients in remote areas. Health campaigns educate the public about preventable diseases. And through joint pricing agreements, essential medicines become more affordable and accessible. All these efforts result in a healthier workforce and reduce strain on public health systems. How can public-private partnerships help in the achievement of SDG 8, decent work and economic growth? Economic growth must go hand in hand with decent employment. Public-private partnerships contribute by establishing training and vocational centers that equip people with relevant skills, create innovation hubs that support startups and local entrepreneurship, investing in tourism infrastructure, generating jobs in hospitality and services, running workplace safety programs in high-risk industries, and developing special economic zones where industries can thrive under supportive regulations. Such partnerships help economies shift towards more dynamic and diverse labor markets. And finally, how do public and private partnerships help in the attainment of SDG 9, industry, innovation, and infrastructure? Infrastructure is often cited as the backbone of economic growth. Public-private partnerships support major transportation projects such as highways, ports, and urban transit. Creation of technology parks, fostering research and development and industrial collaborations, expansion of digital infrastructure, financing of clean energy solutions like wind and solar farms, upgrading of utilities to ensure access to clean water and efficient waste systems. By sharing risk and investment, public-private partnerships make these large-scale projects feasible. Now I would like to take a look at some examples of how public and private partnerships have actually contributed to the attainment of several SDGs. One important example of a public-private partnership is Gavi Vaccine Alliance, a public-private partnership formed in the year 2000. It brought together public institutions like the World Health Organization, philanthropic organizations like the Gates Foundation, pharmaceutical companies, and national governments. Together, they vaccinated over 1 billion children, preventing disease and enhancing life expectancy. Beyond SDG 3, Gavi's work also supported SDG 1, no poverty, by preventing health-related poverty, and SDG 8, decent work and economic growth, by improving population health and economic productivity. Gavi Vaccine is an excellent example of what coordinated global action can achieve. A second example that I would like to give is coming from Kenya. The Mombasa-Nairobi Standard Gauge Railway a public-private partnership with China Road and Bridge Corporation, was completed in 2017. It is one of the most significant infrastructure projects in East Africa and connects Kenya's largest port city, Mombasa, with its capital city, Nairobi. As a result, it cut travel time from 12 hours to 4 hours, lowered transportation costs for goods and people, boosted domestic and regional trade, and created thousands of jobs during and after construction. This project illustrates how infrastructure investments through public and private partnerships can transform economies and link regional markets. It supported SDG 9, Industry, Innovation and Infrastructure, by enhancing infrastructure and industrial growth. It also supported SDG 8, Decent Work in Economic Growth, by creating jobs and promoting inclusive economic development. And also it supported SDG 1 by contributing to income generation and poverty reduction. In summary, then, I would like to conclude by saying that public-private partnerships are not just an option. They are an essential tool for achieving sustainable economic development. They enable governments to amplify their impact, deliver projects faster and more efficiently, and respond to challenges with greater agility. Public-private partnerships bring together capital, innovation, expertise, and a shared vision for a future, better future. And we can pursue the SDGs, especially those within the economic pillar, by continuing to foster and scaling these partnerships globally. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I will now pass the floor on to my colleague, Professor Dr.Aşkın Kiraz, who will continue her presentation in regards to public-private partnerships and the societal pillar of sustainability.
Thank you, dear Professor Dr. Şerife Zihni Eyüpoğlu. Hello, dear participants. In this 6th section of SDG series, I would like to talk about public-private partnerships' role on social sustainability. In this context, I want to present about the definitions of social sustainability and public-private partnerships, the role of PPPs on social sustainability, a holistic assessment, and recommendations. Sustainable development is a holistic process that has not only environmental but also economic and social pillars. While economic sustainability aims to increase the production capacity and income levels of societies, environmental sustainability includes protecting nature and combating climate change. Our current focus, social sustainability, is based on human-centered principles such as social equality, justice, and welfare. What is social sustainability? Social sustainability aims for individuals to have equal access to fundamental rights and freedoms, and for all segments of society to actively participate in social, economic, and political life. In this context, issues such as education, health, justice, and gender equality constitute the basic elements of social sustainability. Without ensuring social sustainability, other pillars of sustainable development cannot be fully realized. What is public-private partnership? Public-private partnerships are collaboration models where both public authorities and private enterprises combine their resources and competencies the provision of public services. They are usually encountered in areas such as health, transportation, education, and energy. In particular, the 17th Sustainable Development Goal of the United Nations clearly supports the strengthening of such partnerships. The OECD also emphasized that these collaborations should be carried out with inclusiveness, efficiency, and transparency. As you remember, the goals of the social pillar are quality education, gender equality, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, peace, justice, and strong institutions, and partnerships for the goals. This part of the presentation will highlight how public-private partnerships contribute to social sustainability and smart steps that can be taken together with PPP for a more sustainable world in the future. Quality education is one of the cornerstones of social sustainability. SDG 4 specifically aims to ensure that an inclusive and equitable education system is accessible to all. In this context, public-private partnerships play a critical role. For example, while technology companies provide digital infrastructure, public authorities are responsible for the dissemination and monitoring of this service. The Instant Network Schools project, carried out in collaboration with UNESCO and Vodafone, is a strong example of such collaboration. Thanks to the digital classrooms established in refugee camps, thousands of children have been provided access to quality education and teachers have been increased in their capacities. Such projects show how SDG 4 can be constantly advanced. Gender equality is not only a human right issue, but also an indispensable element for building sustainable societies. SDG 5 aims to ensure equal representation and empowerment of women and girls in all areas of life. At this point, public-private partnerships offer significant opportunities, especially in terms of participation in economic life. The collaboration between UN Women and Procter & Gamble is remarkable in this sense. Women entrepreneurs are integrated into supply chains, their access to education and financing in increased and mechanisms that support women's leaderships are established. Such projects directly contribute to social sustainability by improving women and the entire society. SDG 10 aims to reduce inequalities both nationally and globally. Income, opportunity, and service inequalities are the main sources of social sustainability. Therefore, inclusion of disadvantaged groups is critical to achieving social sustainability. Public-private partnerships come into play in this area, especially through mechanisms such as microfinance, social enterprise, and community investment. For example, programs implemented in collaboration with Ashoka and City Foundation support young social entrepreneurs aiming for individuals' success for addressing systemic inequalities in society. Such initiatives ensure that SDG 10 produce tangible impacts at the local level and contribute to strengthening social cohesion. Sustainable cities are a fundamental elements of environmental sustainability besides of social sustainability. SDG 11 aims to strengthen the links between infrastructure, quality of life, and social equity in cities. Public-private partnerships play a critical role in achieving these goals. Siemens collaborations with various municipalities, smart city projects, and energy efficiency applications are some of the best examples in this field. For example, energy efficient building, efficient transportation systems, and disaster-resilient infrastructures are being built to increase the sustainability of cities. Such partnerships combine social equity and environmental sustainability, enabling safer and more livable cities for everyone. Peace, justice, and strong institutions are fundamental elements of the social sustainability of societies. SDG 16 ensures peace and strengthens legal systems and public sector accountability. Public-private partnerships have great potential to achieve this goal. For example, the collaboration between IBM and the Transparency International aims to make digital public services transparent. Open data platforms increase government transparency, enabling citizens to access services more easily. Such partnerships increase government power and contribute to building public trust. SDG 17 emphasizes the global collaboration needed for the success of sustainable development. This goal is not only possible through the efforts of a single actor, but through the collaboration of all stakeholders. Public-private partnerships are the cornerstone of this collaboration. The UN Global Compact encourages the companies to form global partnerships to achieve sustainable development goals. Such collaborations use resources more efficiently and provide broader societal and environmental benefits. SDG 17 emphasizes the need for different sectors to come together and work together, which is an important step in achieving social sustainability. In this section, I would like to discuss public-private partnerships with a holistic approach and offer some suggestions on the subject. In order to evaluate public-private partnership applications, three basic dimensions need to be taken into account: financial, technical, and administrative dimensions. In financial terms, the way the project's financial resources are provided and its impact on the public budget come to the fore. The technical dimensions refers to the level of expertise in the planning, implementation, and operation processes of the project. In the administrative dimensions, responsibility sharing, decision-making mechanisms, and control processes are evaluated. Although PPP models offer some opportunities, they can also bring significant risks. For example, if careful planning is not made in terms of equality, access, and transparency, social injustice may arise in accessing public services. The closed execution of contract processes may undermine the principle of transparency. At this point, non-governmental organizations and local stakeholders play a critical role in terms of social control of public-private partnership projects. The operation of participatory mechanisms both increases social acceptance and contributes to the sustainability of projects. Public-private partnership applications should be evaluated not only with their economic but also with their social and administrative dimensions. This reveals the necessity of a holistic approach. Recommendations for social sustainability and public-private partnerships. PPP models. In projects focused on social sustainability, public-private partnerships should be designed to produce solutions that are appropriate for the needs of local people. Social equality and access. The participation of local communities should be increased in PPP projects, including local stakeholders and communities in decision-making processes increases the success of sustainable projects. Priority should be given to projects that increase equal access in areas such as education, health, and housing. Target-oriented partnerships. Specific strategies should be developed for each goal in line with the SDGs, and monitoring mechanisms should be established for these goals. Transparency and accountability. Transparency, especially in public-private partnerships, reinforces social sustainability. Partnerships should remain loyal to their goals of providing social benefits. Technological investments, technological developments offer significant opportunities to increase social equality and access in public-private partnership projects. Dear participants, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your participation. Now, I would like to invite dear Farhad Bolouri for his presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Aşkın Kiraz. Also, I thank to Professor Dr. Hüseyin Gökçekuş and Professor Dr. Şerife Eyüpoğlu because of their valuable presentations. Because now my presentation is going to be the related implementation of PPPs. So I will summarize what they present, and also I will add something about the related implementations in this regard. About introduction to PPPs, I can just mention that public-private partnerships or PPPs are collaborative arrangements between government bodies and private sector interests aimed at financing, designing, implementing, and operating projects that serve the public. These partnerships are often used for large-scale infrastructure or service delivery projects, filling the gaps where public resources or expertise may fall short. About the key features of PPPs, the hallmark of PPPs in the sharing of responsibilities and risks between public and private sectors, the partnerships are generally structured through long-term contracts with clearly defined performance indicators. The private party typically finances and manages the project while being compensated based on performance and service delivery. About the types of PPPs models, PPPs can take several forms depending on the division of responsibilities and financial communities. Common models include build, operate, transform, or build, own, operate, and design, build, finance, operate, among others. Each model determines the extent of private involvement in the project life cycle. About the PPP's legal and regulatory framework, a strong legal and regulatory framework is essential for successful PPP's implementation. This includes national policies, procurement laws, dispute resolution mechanisms, and the role of regulatory agencies. Clear legal structures enhance investor confidence and project stability over time. So now about the PPP's project life cycle, we can say about it, the life cycle of a PPP project typically begins with project identification and feasibility analysis, followed by procurement and competitive bidding. For selecting a private partner, the project proceeds through contract negotiation, implementation, and ongoing performance monitoring, often a period of 20 to 30 years. About the benefits of PPPs, we can mention PPPs bring several benefits to public service delivery, including access to private financing, innovative solutions, and effective project execution. They also enable governments to focus on policy and regulation while leveraging private sector operational expertise to enhance quality and accountability. About the challenges, Prof. Dr. Hüseyin Gökçekuş mentioned in their presentation, despite their advantages, PPPs face challenges such as complex contract negotiation, regulatory uncertainties, and limited public sector capacity. Furthermore, political interference and lack of transparency can compromise the effectiveness of partnership, making robust government essential. About the risk allocation in PPPs, effective risk allocation is a critical success factor for PPPs. Risk should be assigned to the party best able to manage them, whether financial, construction related, operational, or political. Balanced risk sharing arrangements ensure that both parties are incentivized to perform efficiently. About the global examples, all presenters before mentioned in their presentations some examples, and also now we can just mention across the globe, countries have successfully implemented PPPs in diverse sectors. The UK's NHS IT systems, India's national highway projects, Brazil's airport concessions, and South Africa's renewable energy program demonstrate how PPPs can support infrastructure development and service improvements. But about the directly relationship between PPPs and infrastructure, we can say infrastructure development has been the primary domain for PPPs, especially in transportation, energy, and urban planning. Roads, bridges, airports, power plants, and water systems are commonly delivered through PPPs, helping governments meet demand while sharing costs and risks. About the PPPs in social sectors, which presented with Prof. Dr.Aşkın Kiraz, in recent years, PPPs have extended into social sectors such as education, healthcare, and public safety, for privately managed hospitals to smart classrooms and correctional facilities. These partnerships aims to enhance services quality and access while maintaining public oversight. About the monitoring and evaluation of PPPs, we can say monitoring and evaluation are crucial to ensuring PPP's performance and accountability. Governments often establish KPIs, conducted audits, and deploy real-time dashboards to track progress. Regular reviews help address issues early to ensure that services delivery meets contractual standards. About the emerging trends in PPPs, the landscape of PPPs is evolving with a focus on sustainability, digital transformation, and smart city development. Green PPPs for clean energy, broadband connectivity, and data-driven urban services are gaining traction, reflecting the need of innovative solutions to modern challenges. So as a conclusion and recommendation of this presentation, I can mention PPPs offer a strategic path to infrastructures and services development, but must be carefully structured and managed. Strong governance, transparent process, and industrial capacity are key to this success. Looking ahead, adaptive models and the stakeholder collaboration will be vital in maximizing the value of PPPs. Thank you so much for all participants, for all attenders that they are watching our workshop online and here. And also thank you so much for all presenters, Professor Dr. Hüseyin Gökçekuş, Professor Dr. Şerife Zihni Eyüpoğlu, and Professor Dr. Aşkın Kiraz. And see you in our next event. Thank you so much.
Hayat hızla akıyor ve biz bu hızı seviyoruz. Her güne heyecanla başlıyor, her anı doya doya yaşıyoruz. İlk günkü heyecanımızla yılları aşıyoruz. Zaman akarken biz de kendimizi arıyoruz. Heyecanla, merakla. Sen de kendini mi arıyorsun? O zaman zamana yetiş. Bu sadece kendini bulmakla ilgili değil. Asıl heyecan kendini yaratmakta. Bir şeyler mi yaratmak istiyorsun? Mükemmel. Metali işlemeyi, bir bina yapmayı, bir iş kurmayı, hatta bir şehir kurmayı öğren. Hayat kurtarmak, teknoloji geliştirmek, üretmek. Hepsi burada. Ve burada tüm deneyimler profesyonellerle yan yana. Ancak hızlı ilerlemeliyiz. Çünkü bugün şimdi gerçekleşiyor ve yarın çok yakın. Hayatta öne geçmek istiyorsan önce zamanın önüne geçeceksin. Hep ileri gideceksin. Bu Doktor Suat İrfan Günsel. Tanıyor musun? Onun da söylediği gibi. Üniversiteler toplumların dokuma tezgahıdır. Toplumları geliştirir, dönüştürür ve gelişmesini sağlar. O burayı bugünden yarına hazırlamak için kurdu. Senin için, ileriye gitmek için. Yana ya da geriye değil. Sadece ileri. Çünkü gelecek çok yakın. Hadi harekete geç. Fikirlerin ne kadar ileride olursa yarına o kadar yaklaşırsın. Yanındakileri de geleceğe taşırsın. Bu senin geleceğin, senin fırsatın şimdi. Hadi yarın yakın. Hepimizi ileriye götür.